This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast, all things Cleveland sports, with your host, John Suchan. Hey, and good day, good evening, good morning. This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. How's everybody doing? We are part of the Fanatical Elves Network. I'm your host, Johnny Suchan, also known as Johnny Cleveland. And we love having you here. It is a Saturday night, right? Saturday night? Let me see. I got some music here. Let me try to get some. This is some new background music. See if you like this. Here we go. Where is my music? Oh, right there. Here we go. We'll put that in the background. Little funky. I don't know what you call this. Got a little bit of synthesizer. It's almost like a. I don't know what. Let's see. It's getting louder and louder. Oh, let's go a little bit lower here. All right. How are you this evening, this morning, whenever you're listening to us? It is Saturday night while we're recording this, so that's why I said, how's your evening? But you might be not listening to this until the morning, which is great. Hope you're having a great day, great weekend. This is the first day of June. Goodbye, May. Hello, June. We are approaching now the Cleveland Browns season, only 3 months away. So let's talk about the Brownies. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Cavaliers and the Indians. Oh, I'm sorry, the Guards. Folks, if you're a lifelong Cleveland fan, you understand. I mean, yes, they're the Guards, but they will always be the Indians. So, all right. So let's talk about the Brownies for a minute. Brownies have had their OTAs. They're going to have their mini camp coming up here in another week or so again. That's more the mandated one, the mandatory one. So we'll see if everybody shows up. Hopefully, Miles, Garrett, all the rest of the gang will be there. But how good is this team going to be? And, we're all talking, they're going to be really good. And I believe that. I think we all Browns fans are really going into the season just with a lot of positivity. So many things that we could talk about here, from the coaching staff to the added additions of various coaches, just amazing stuff there. Was it Mike Vrabel out there with the team in his Browns outfit, coaching gear, helping special teamers, helping the linemen. It's pretty special when you have some of these new guys coming in. And then, you already have Jim Schwartz, who's talking about this Browns defense being fast and tweaking some things and making them even better. So a lot of things to be optimistic about. So if you start looking at this Browns schedule, I've kind of already talked about this a little bit, but let's just specifically tonight just talk a little bit about those first 4 games. We'll get into more detail, especially as we get closer to these games. But general terms, you got that week 1 opponent against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas will be coming in here. Great team, good team. Dak Prescott, who I always have liked as a quarterback, wish the Browns had picked him up years ago. But now we have Deshaun Watson going up against him. It's a home game, 4:00 matchup, nationally televised. Should get a lot of pop there. Looking for the Browns to get a win. I think they've gotten that issue of winning games in that first week, and I think this team is going to be ready to rock and roll. And with the Browns fans, the home crowd, you got to feel like the Browns have got an excellent opportunity. Now, if they lose that game, which I'm not predicting that, I'm predicting them to win this game. It's not the end of the world, but it would certainly, without taking a loss, that would be a big hit to a lot of people. The emotions of all of this hype right now, 3 months out, would all blow up in our faces. So, really believe that they are going to pull that off. They will get a big win. A lot of chatter. Browns defense, I think, will look strong. We'll see about that offense again. We're hoping that the Browns offense now with Jared Jeudy and other players will be a real positive. So look for the Brownies to get that first win. And then you get this week 2 matchup at Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville came here, and Trevor Lawrence was not himself, but Trevor Lawrence is a pretty good quarterback. California Sunshine, though I don't really like him, he's a good quarterback, and the Browns got to go down to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's a good team. They're a good team. So you got to respect them. And if the Browns can pull off that win on the road in Jacksonville, that would be fantastic. I'm not looking for them to get that win. I think that at that point they're going to, take the loss. So it'll be 1-1. But then you got the next matchup. It's against the New York Giants. It's back home again. They're playing the Giants. You see here. I just want to confirm that. Yep. Got to get a win there. And Giants, it'll be early in the year. Everybody's going to be trying to do their best. Teams that aren't out of it yet, since the season just started in week 3, the Giants will come in here, prepared to play a great game. But again, it's going to get against the Browns at home. I look for the Browns to roll in that one and go 2-1 on the season. The following week, week 4, the Browns have got to travel back out to play the Raiders in Vegas. The Browns have had a history of struggling when they have to play the Raiders out west. The last time I think they were out there was a great effort by the team. Nick Chubb played pretty well in that game. They just didn't play. They didn't close the deal, and there were some mistakes. As I recall, there was a horrible referee mistake. I believe that was the game where there was. This is years ago, maybe even before. I think Chubb was playing. There was a fumble. There was a loose ball, and the Browns recovered it, but the referees didn't give the ball to them, and in the end, the Cleveland lost out there. So I'm going to say right now, the Browns are going to go out there and they're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to come off that big win off the Giants. They're going to get their next big win against the Raiders. And the Browns will be setting very pretty at 3-1 and looking at the rest of the season with a real positive opportunity in front of them. If they want to get back to the playoffs, which I think a lot of us believe that they will. Getting off to a quick start, a 3-1 start, even if somewhere along the ways they lost another one in there, so they're 2-2. It's still better than 0-4 or whatever their mark would be. Now, we talked about this last year. I think that first 4-game stretch last year, I think we were all hoping they didn't go 0-4 and get to the break, and they did it. And I think they were 2-2. So look for the Browns to get off to a solid start. It will not be the end of the world if they're 2-2, or for God's sakes, if they're 1-3, the world is not falling. But I can't imagine this team going 1-3 to start in that first 4-game stretch. Just does not seem, with 2 home games in that group. Just doesn't seem plausible. So I think the Browns are going to do well, get off to that fast start, and be 3-1. We'll look when we have another episode here, the Johnny Cleveland Show. We'll break down the next stretch of 4 or 5 games, and we'll we got a lot of time to talk about it. So, all right, folks, we're going to pause for a quick break here. We're part of the Fanatical L's Network, part of Fans First Sports Network. This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. We'll be right back. We're back. How did you enjoy those commercials? Weren't those the best commercials ever? Okay, so let's switch gears for a moment. talk about those guards, those Indians. Yes, they won another one today against the Washington. Oh crap! What in the Nationals? I was going to say the Commanders, and then the Washington Generals, the basketball team that plays against the Harlem Globetrotters, the Washington Nationals. Yeah, that team. The guards are doing. They did just enough today, and Jose. Let's give another shout out to Jose. My God, the guy is just amazing. Gets a little infield hit early on in this game. Steals second. There's a wild pitch the next round of pitches, and he's able to score from second all the way to home plate, and they take the early 3-0 lead. They hung on the win 3-2 in front of the second sellout of the season. The second they've had 4 this season of sellouts, second in a row. They had one last night and they had one today. Really cool to see Jacobs Field or Progressive getting filled up with fans again. It seemed like there was a little bit of a lull last year. There wasn't a complete buy-in. Obviously, the team did not get off to their fantastic start like they're doing right now. I mean, this team is 39-19. They're 20 games over 500. There's only been 3 other times, and I talked about this in the last podcast, that the Guardians, the Indians, have gotten off to this great of a start. In all those 3 times, those past teams have made it to the World Series. And one time they won it in 54. No, they lost it in 54. Got to it in 20. They got to it in 48. They won it in 48. They got back in 54 when they had this other good start. And then now this year is their next best start. So it bodes well. It really does bode well. And I think fans are seeing that. This team is hitting. I mean, this David Fry guy, I mean, who's he? Like, where did he come from? You look at these guards players, they just don't fit I don't know. They're just, they're minimally paid players. We have one of the lowest least expensive teams in the league. Our owners, and they don't pay our team anything, but somehow we managed to have good pitching. The hitting has been there. I think some of us who are skeptical are waiting for the other shoe to drop and kind of this team to start falling apart. Maybe they're pitching and such, but they're keeping it together, and got to really respect that for the guards. They're now we're into June. The fans continue to come out. I mean, that gives any team a real positive vibe. You got to like that. And it'll be fun to see if they can keep this momentum going. The Royals, Kansas City Royals, are in second place. They've lost a couple now in a row. So the Guards now have a 5-game lead in the division. They're running away from it. I mean, the Chicago White Sox right now are 24 games back of the Indians. 24 games. The White Sox have only won 14 games, I think, this season so far. Yikes. The Indians have won 39. 39-19. Pretty good. All right, congratulations to them. And finally, we touch on this a little bit with the Cavaliers. And I write for King James Gospel as well. And then my colleagues that write, they're a bunch of great guys that write. We've all been debating, like you as Cavs fans, if you follow the Cavs, they are trying to figure out what they want to do this offseason. They're going to have a new coach. And there's been some debate about, does Jared Allen, does Darius Garland, who gets traded? Does anybody get traded? Is that a good idea? We just don't know. Some of my colleagues said that one of these guys, they've got to get rid of these guys. If you see my black in the background, my black curtain moving, it's not a ghost. It's my dog, Rufus. He's decided to hang up here with me. I don't know why. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. But anywho, to the Cavaliers, do they trade one of these big guys and break up the core four? Some people have speculated that Jarrett Allen is going to be traded, and some people have been saying, oh, well, his teammates were upset with him because he didn't play in the playoffs. I think one of the stupid Morris guys the twins. And listen, the Morris brothers have played at KU at Kansas years ago, and they're a bunch of idiots. I've never liked their game. I know some of you guys are Cavs fans and you think that Morris is great and he came in and did all this stuff, but he's a jerk. And I've never really respected the guy. Anyhow, I think he's the one who mouthed off something about, Allen should have been playing or whatever. Listen, Allen was injured. Allen was seriously injured, and that's not being reported as much as it really was a serious issue. It wasn't just like it was the ribs, but how the injury was and what it could have done potentially if he had made an attempt at playing was really risking a lot more than a lot of people are discussing. So it was the right move. And anybody that wants to say, well, Jarrett Allen was a selfish player and didn't really want to help his teammates was just a fool. I think I kind of mentioned in the last podcast, but you just don't understand. And so you should just shut up when you don't know anything about an actual situation. Now, I don't know everything else about everything in the situation, but I know a little bit more. And Jarrett Allen too. I mean, he's been playing very well, and some folks who are wanting this trade are trying to say that, well, Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley just don't play well together. And I caution everybody because so many of these players were injured this year. Now, some people will then go to the defense of JB Bickerstaff, who was fired, and say, well, the Cavs had all these injuries, so why did we get rid of JB? It wasn't his fault. Well, listen, I've already talked about JB at length. He was not taking this team anywhere. If you've paid any attention to the Cavs over the last 3 years, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm sorry. You're misinformed. So I don't understand this whole thing with, Allen and Mobley not necessarily playing well together. I think some people are talking about, well, Mobley plays better in the 5 position, and you can't put both of them in there, and Allen plays better at the 5. So one of the guys has got to play at the 4 spot, and it makes not for the best. But I just don't agree with that. And I don't see what you're going to get in return. Everybody wants to get rid of all these other, like, let's say you get rid of Allen, you trade away Allen. What are you going to get in return? I mean, there's these players, like somebody was talking about this fictitious trade for Jimmy Butler from Miami and paying him a max of 37 or 38 million a year. I mean, come on, dude, or whatever the max is. I mean, he's like, I think they said he was like 37 or 38 years old. For God's sakes, man. I mean, that's gonna take the Cavs over the top. You're gonna get rid of Allen, and you're gonna bring back some old guy who's already over the hill. I mean, Jimmy Butler's not gonna bring the Cavs a championship. I just think it's a mistake to consider. If they trade Allen, so be it. If Kobe Altman, the general manager of the Cavs, wants to do that, and they feel like that's going to be the best, he hasn't indicated that, but that doesn't mean anything. What's going on behind closed doors? Now, when you talk about Darius Garland, here's a good kid who came in 2019, and some people are out there talking about how Garland and Mitchell just can't coexist, and his Darius Garland's turnovers and everything about him was way down. Again, let me remind you that Darius Garland missed a ton of games this year with a serious injury to his jaw, a serious injury that sidelined him for dozens and dozens of games. Yeah, he's not going to be probably at the top of his game this season. But the idea, again, that Mitchell and Garland can't coexist is absolutely foolish. And I just don't understand what the rush is and why so many people think now that they have to be traded. You're going to bring in a new coach. And I disagree with people that disagree with me when I say, well, you're bringing in a coach that'll have a different philosophy, a different set of standards, and a different motivation. And players, whenever you are, if you work in your job or whatever, you get a new boss. Okay, so these Cavs are going to get a new boss. All these guys are young, in their young mid-20s. Okay. You can get inspired. I still get inspired by, the people I work for and listen to them and, try to do my best, even in my old age. So you don't think that these players are going to go out and do their best for their new coach and try things? Absolutely, they're going to. So I think bringing in a new coach is going to put a little fire into these players. And I think I'm not a general manager like Kobe Altman, but thinking how Kobe Altman might be taking this is that you are bringing a new coach. You have 4 guys plus several other sideline players like Dean Wade, like Karis LeVert, like Isaac Okoro, who are all under contracts. No one has to be. Now, I don't know about Karis LeVert, but I believe everybody else, from Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro and those core 4, aren't free agents anytime soon. So why the big push to get somebody in this trade? I think that a new face, a new philosophy, a new system will really help this team. I've been saying it since JB Bickerstaff has been the coach, that if you put a different guy there, this team would play differently, because those coaches are going to put these players in different positions and have them do different things and have a different philosophy. And I don't just agree basketball wise when people say, well, it's more about the player and the talent. Guys, all these players are talented. They're in the freaking NBA. So, the silly season of people just speculating. If the Cavs don't do anything, the world is not going to come to an end. The Cavs are still going to push to get into the playoffs, and I just believe that with a new coach and a new set of philosophies, they're going to bring in some other sidekicks. We know that, but maybe they don't bring in that star player. I mean, come on, get real. Jimmy Butler, you really want to bring somebody like Jimmy Butler here to Cleveland? I mean, come on. Ridiculous, just absolutely absurd. So I'm for keeping the core 4, keep Darius, keep Jared, keep Evan, keep Donovan Mitchell. We're going to be fine. Dean Wade comes back healthier than ever, ready to knock down some shots from deep. It's going to be a good Cavs year coming up. All right, folks, I hope all of you have a very good rest of your weekend. Whenever you listen to this, make sure that you're downloading this. You can download this here on Apple, on Spotify, Amazon Music. I know my wife and I just downloaded some stuff on Amazon Music on their platform, on their app store, and you can find us there. Just type in Fanatical Elves, or just type in Cleveland Browns podcast, and our Fanatical Elves will pop up, because we are growing. We're growing because you're tuning into us, you're downloading us and listening to us, and we try to do our best to bring you some entertaining stuff every time we come on the airwaves. So have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Go Browns. And remember to, that's right, keep smiling.